Popularity is when other people like you. Happiness is when you like yourself. There is a difference between being accepted by others and being at peace with yourself. And a lot of people spend years chasing the first one while quietly starving the second because popularity feels validating. The compliments, the attention, the approval, the feeling of being wanted, noticed, included, admired. For a moment, it can feel like proof that you matter. But external validation is fragile because if your worth only exists through other people's opinions, your confidence will constantly rise and fall depending on who is clapping for you that day. And that is exhausting. Some people are loved by everyone except themselves. That's the heartbreaking part. There are people who light up every room they walk into and still go home feeling empty. Because popularity and self-worth are not the same thing. One comes from outside of you. The other has to come from within. And no amount of attention can permanently fill a void created by self-rejection. We learn early to seek approval. Most of us were taught, directly or indirectly, that being liked meant being valuable, be agreeable, be easy to love, be impressive, be successful, be who other people want you to be. So we adapt, we shapeshift, people please, perform versions of ourselves that feel acceptable. And after a while, many people become so focused on maintaining approval that they lose connection with who they actually are. Because when your identity becomes dependent on being liked, authenticity starts to feel risky. The problem with building your worth on other people's opinions. People are inconsistent. One day they praise you, the next they misunderstand you, celebrate you, criticize you, include you, ignore you. If your self-esteem depends entirely on external reactions, your emotional world becomes unstable. You begin chasing validation like oxygen, needing reassurance, needing applause, needing constant confirmation that you are enough. But happiness does not grow from constantly monitoring how others feel about you. It grows from learning how you feel about yourself when nobody else is watching. Self-like is different from self-love. People talk about self-love a lot, but sometimes the first step is simpler than that. Sometimes it starts with self-like, liking the person you are becoming, trusting yourself more, feeling proud of your choices, enjoying your own company without needing distraction or approval. Because real happiness is not built on perfection. It is built on self-acceptance, and that changes everything. You cannot perform your way into peace. This is something many people discover the hard way. You can be admired and still be deeply unhappy. You can be desired and still feel emotionally unseen. You can look successful on the outside while feeling disconnected from yourself on the inside. Because peace does not come from maintaining an image. It comes from authenticity, from no longer needing to audition for belonging everywhere you go, for knowing who you are without constantly needing strangers, friends, family, or social media to confirm it for you. People pleasing is often self abandonment in disguise. A lot of people confuse being liked with being loved. But if people only love the version of you that stays quiet, agreeable, overgiving, or emotionally convenient, that is not real connection. That is performance based acceptance. And eventually, it becomes exhausting trying to maintain versions of yourself that keep everyone else comfortable while slowly disconnecting from your own needs. Sometimes happiness begins the moment you stop asking, will they still like me if I say no? And start asking, do I even like who I become when I abandon myself to keep everyone else happy? The most confident people are not always the most popular, but they are often the most grounded. Because confidence rooted in self worth does not collapse every time someone disapproves. People who genuinely like themselves understand something important. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will choose you. Not everyone will agree with you. And that is okay. Because their value is not entirely dependent on outside acceptance. That kind of confidence feels quieter, less performative, less desperate, more stable. It allows people to stop chasing rooms where they are merely tolerated and start building lives where they feel emotionally safe being themselves. Happiness is an inside relationship. That relationship matters more than people realize. How you speak to yourself, how you care for yourself, how you treat yourself when you fail, how you comfort yourself when life hurts. Because eventually the noise fades, the applause quiets, the trends change, the attention shifts. And at the end of the day, you still have to live with yourself. That is why learning to genuinely like who you are matters so much more than temporary approval from others. You are allowed to stop chasing validation. You do not have to earn your worth every day. You do not have to constantly prove you are lovable. You do not need universal approval to deserve peace. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how kind you are. Some people will project onto you no matter how carefully you communicate. Some people simply will not be your people, and that is not failure. Real happiness begins when your relationship with yourself becomes stronger than your need for outside validation. Because popularity may bring attention, but self-acceptance brings peace, and peace will always outlast applause. Slay reflection. S. See the difference. How much of your confidence is connected to other people's approval? L. Look inward. Do you genuinely enjoy who you are when nobody else is validating you? A, accept yourself. What parts of yourself have you been hiding to stay accepted by others? Why? Yield to authenticity. What might change if you focus less on being liked and more on being real? Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever realized that being liked by others did not automatically make you happy within yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's grow through it together. And if you know someone who's learning to stop chasing validation and start building self worth from within, send this to them. Sometimes the most important relationship we will ever heal is the one we have with ourselves. I'm Carrie Genzel, reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.